Pharrell Williams here with Artist Talk. Beware, I'm here with the one and only Tony Hawk.
That was my epiphany, that I'll do this at all costs, even if I get hurt.
You've got to be unafraid of the winter to know that you'll reach the summer.
People said I cheated because I ollied into my airs. I was like, yeah, that's how you get height.
We woke up every day trying to find like a mini half somewhere.
Right. The high that I go for is when I land something new.
That's not really selling out. That's called being successful and being a pioneer.
I stand by it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna put my daughter in danger.
Yeah.
I'm not careless.
Oops. Tony Hawk is without a doubt the biggest name in the history of skateboarding. He took his talents in the sport to create an empire that has expanded throughout the world. His influence is evident all across the globe as he truly is an icon of sport, creativity, and most certainly business. First of all, thank you so much for coming on to talk to me on the show.
Oh, well, I appreciate being invited.
You were described as a kid with excessive energy. How would you describe yourself?
Well, maybe a little more focused on my energy now. Then I didn't really know where to channel the energy, and so I was just sort of a handful for my parents. I played basketball, I played baseball, but I didn't excel so much in them that I was hooked on it. Mm-hmm. And then when I found skating, I just found this way to do it my own thing at my own pace, kind of create my own style, and that was it. I knew right then that that's what I wanted to do. And then they saw that I focused my aggression and my energy and my determination on that, and they were like, oh, thank God he found something.
Right, because they were worried about you at first, right? And
a little bit, yeah.
Kind of had you tested, and then you received like a 144 IQ score. Did you embrace that? It was like,
I was
realizing that you were a smart guy.
Yeah, that didn't really work to your advantage. I mean, I'm a child of the '70s, so it didn't really work to your advantage then. Then you're just labeled nerdy.
Right.
I didn't try to highlight that at all that much, but I was put in the advanced classes, and I had a couple of friends in my neighborhood that were sort of in the same boat, so we were sort of brought up together in that light.
So how did you get introduced to skateboarding?
My older brother, he was a surfer. He skated because that was kind of the guys who were into skating. It was the Dogtown era, so the surfers were getting into skating, and he did it when the waves are flat, and then he gave me his old board.
What kind of board was it?
Bane. It's about 4 inches wide, wooden riser pads, and I liked it, but I didn't think it was an epiphany or anything. I liked doing it. I went down the street a little bit, and then one day I got invited to the skate park, which was in San Diego, to go with a friend. And when I went to the skate park, I literally saw people flying around. I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to fly, and I did everything I could to figure out how to do that. It was funny because when the first time I got hurt really badly, I got a concussion, broke my teeth, hospital, my parents got called, they picked me up, and I knew right when I woke up that I wasn't gonna quit. I was gonna keep doing it. I was gonna come back at it. That was my epiphany, that I'll do this at all costs, even if I get hurt.
That's what I avoided as a kid. Yeah. I always avoided the tricks that easily got you a concussion.
But you skated.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, you can't escape injury completely if you skate.
So how quickly did skateboarding become a competitive thing for you?
Pretty much within the first couple of years, because the only way that you got noticed or you got to try anything new in skating was to go compete. There was no YouTube. You couldn't get sponsored through videos. It was about how you competed. That was it. And
what you did on your board.
Yeah, and if you can do it under pressure.
Yeah, doing it when everyone's watching.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like nowadays with music. You got to perform well live.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to sell albums. Yeah, you're done.
Yeah. When I was a kid, you guys would come to this place called Mount Trashmore.
Yeah.
Down in Virginia Beach.
Yep.
And I would just look as if literally we had angels just flying around because you guys were doing the craziest. I mean, do you remember the McTwist?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that was a super highlight of my childhood, is watching you do those tricks.
Awesome. What's funny is I think Trashmore, that was in the mid '80s when skating was just starting to take off a bit. That was the first time that we really had sort of rock star status in terms of the crowds and the hype, the fences and people trying to climb over and get autographs and stuff, and I had a blast there.
If you hadn't found skating, what do you think Tony Hawk would be doing now?
I was always into computers early on. I mean, I played violin for a few years of my life up until I started skating, and I thought that I had to make a choice in terms of hobbies, and so I cut out playing an instrument altogether from my life, which I regret. But I thought, oh, I'm doing this now. This is my extracurricular activity. I don't have any time for anything else.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad choice.
It wasn't a bad choice, but I'm always jealous of people that can play music. I got into computers really early and video editing. When my career kind of took a downturn in the early 90s, I bought a whole editing system and I started doing freelance work, and I thought that was going to be my career. It was hard because I found myself like trying to have a job and I just wanted to go out and skate, but there was no one paying me to go skate anymore.
Vert skating, it sort of lost it, like some would say it lost its cool. I'm going to say maybe it lost its way. Why did you stick to vert skating? My
perspective on skating in general back then, you either skated pools or you skated freestyle. Freestyle was, pirouettes and like dances.
I remember that when like the guys would be on two boards at one time.
Yeah, all that stuff. And so I wanted to be cool. I wanted to, do the hardcore thing and skate vert. So I skated vert. As the skate park started closing because of the liabilities, then people who wanted to skate, they literally just took to the streets, and that's when it evolved into something that anyone could access and do. And by that time, I was already made my way as a vert skater. I had my own setup, my own vert ramp, and so that was, I think a lot of the reason that people were street skating is because they didn't have access to the ramp.
See, that's a good point, because I remember that was like what we woke up every day trying to do, find like a mini half somewhere, where we could sort of feel that, that half pipe feeling.
In my realm, I still have my ramp, so that's what I was still focusing on. Of course, I went out street skating and did it with those guys as much as I could, but I was already sort of set in my style, and so it was hard to break out of that. And I'm still happy over here on this radius.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's an awesome platform. That's one of my regrets, is that I didn't stick with it just to see what that felt like. I was always like a street skater. I mean, we spent a lot of our time skating in front of 7-Elevens.
But that's still, you were still skating. That's the cool part about it. And it was still a community effort.
When you first got your pro deck, how involved were you with the artwork?
Well, my first pro deck was kind of an accident. It wasn't the Iron Cross thing that people associate me with. It was just really this picture of a hawk with lightning bolts on his claw. And the reason that came up is because, I was 14. I had a friend in school that was good at drawing.
Yeah.
I remember Sam Liu, and he handed me some drawings of hawks, like, hey, I drew these, I know you're getting a skateboard. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And so I handed them to Pal saying, hey, my friend drew these. And they thought that was me saying, this is what I want. And so they took it literally and just drew a hawk. I wasn't gonna complain, I was super excited.
Yeah.
And then that didn't sell at all. And I don't know if it was only because of the graphics. Also, I didn't have much reputation anyway.
Right.
And then they said, look, we need something bolder. We gotta go, more along the lines of the skull stuff that we do. And they sent me what became my graphic for 10 years.
Yeah, I need that first board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to track one of those down.
Mine, actually, my first one got destroyed in a house fire.
Wow.
And I had to go buy one on eBay. It's a humbling moment when you have to
sure.
go buy your own skateboard for thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You've had a video game since 1999, and now you spawn like what, 16 titles?
Oh yeah, maybe. I forgot. I kind of lost track. There's so many different consoles and alterations of the title that we did, so it's hard to keep track of it.
So how involved were you in the development and the creation?
Oh, very. From the get-go, when I found out that I was going to be able to do a game, I wanted to do it as much as I could, to get involved in it. I just wanted it to be authentic, and I wanted it to be something skaters would be proud of. Skaters would be hyped to play, maybe even go buy a PlayStation because they heard about it. That was my ultimate goal with it. It wasn't that I was gonna go gangbusters and break into the video game market and get to do sequels. It was more like, I'm gonna make a game that skaters are gonna be proud of. But it was a blast, I loved it.
So people in a lot of fields, not just skating, have had to deal with the term sellout, right?
Oh yeah.
And once they've had some success. So how have you dealt with that?
Being a champion of sorts, that's amazing. I love, I'm really proud, and I worked my ass off to, try to outdo myself every time in those competitions. I think that the whole issue about being called a sellout, I had to deal with that pretty early on, just because I was the first one to ever go out and do outside sponsorships, endorsements, and things. I mean, as soon as I did a video game, people were like, "That's it, you sold out." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, when I was 14 years old, I had a skateboard with my name on it. If someone came up to me when I was 14 and said, "Hey, you want to make a video game?" Yes, sign me up.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to be in a McDonald's commercial? Yes. I ate there today. Like, I'm serious, you know what I mean? And we never had those opportunities. And so, I don't know, I just learned that people call you sellout when your stuff finally sells, when people are finally interested in it. I guess to me, the definition of sellout is when you're doing stuff and it's not genuine, it's not what you believe. You're just rehearsed lines and you don't even care about the product or the message. I loved all the stuff I did. I really did.
People should take a page out of your book where it's like, you know what, I'm actually gonna take what I love and make a living out of it. That's not really selling out. That's called being successful and being a pioneer.
But I definitely took the heat too, I mean, I got my share of haters and my share of comments and whatever, but I learned to pass that off early on in my life when I was just a scrawny kid. People said I cheated because I ollied into my airs. I was like, yeah, that's how you get height. You ollie into your airs, and then you grab it later. But people were just like, it's just cheating. You can grab it anyway. I'm like, exactly. You can grab it anyway.
That's
right. Sick.
That's right. I love this. Does running the Tony Hawk Empire give you the same satisfaction as the 9 golds at the X Games?
Yeah, I love the challenge of the business aspects of it, but I love that it's still fun. I mean, the stuff that I choose to do is only stuff that I really am passionate about and stuff that I will enjoy seeing through. To be honest, the high that I go for that is what's always striving me is when I land something new, when I'm trying to learn a new trick and I make it for the first time, even if it's something someone else has already done. For me, like, that push and that adrenaline and the confidence of thinking I can do this and then finally doing it, seeing it through, and when I land it, that's the buzz, that's the high for me, like, above all else, above winning a contest. It's about, like, that one time, just like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
And I'm older now, and now when I get that feeling, it's I guess further between when I feel it, and so when I do, it's way more intense.
It's like landing your first kickflip.
That's what it feels like every time.
You caught a lot of flack for posting a pic with your daughter.
Yeah, I did.
And she didn't have a helmet. What's the final word on that episode?
I don't know. I mean, we're still, I still skate with her. I just don't take photos and publish them anymore. I don't know. It's something. It was something we did sort of on a whim, which it's something I do with her in the backyard, and I do it, as safely as possible. I'm not doing anything that I'm going to put either of us at risk. And if there is any risk, I'm taking the brunt of it. I mean, I have 4 kids. I've done it with all of them. To be honest, I have done it with her. She has a helmet, and I've done it with her when she has a helmet on, but she is up against my body because I'm the support of everything. And when I do that, I mean, this sounds super lame, and it wasn't something I was going to put out there when I was in the thick of it, but her helmet would push down on her nose and over her eyes, no matter what size we got, no matter what. And so she couldn't see, and she'd be crying because it's like pushing on her nose, and it wasn't an enjoyable experience for anyone. And so I stopped doing it with her helmet. That's why.
So take that, okay?
But you know what I mean? Like when they were giving, like, we want a quote from you. I'm just like, I'm not gonna give you anything to go on. I stand by it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna put my daughter in danger.
Yeah.
I'm not careless at all. And this is not some Michael Jackson moment.
Yeah. Your son Riley is a top amateur skater. What advice have you given him about pursuing a life as a skater? When did he start?
Oh man, he's been skating since he was like 3 or 4 years old. He went through a phase when he was about, sort of when he became a teenager. He kind of stopped skating. He started riding motocross a bit, And I think because he felt that pressure of being my son, and he felt like people were just expecting too much of him, and he just wanted to do it in his own way. And he came back to it because a lot of his friends were skating. I actually had a talk with him then. I said, look, I know you like riding motorcycles, you like surfing and all the stuff, but you're really good at skating for your age. You know what I mean? Like, you really do have a talent for it. It's not just because you've grown up around it. And I haven't pushed him at all. I just said, you really are exceptional for your age. And if you think you're going to make a career out of one of these sports, it's probably going to be skating, because you were that far ahead of everyone at age 13.
Yeah.
And he really took it to heart. And then later on, somewhere around when he was 17, he was about 17, I actually sat him down and I said, look, Riley, you're really good now. I mean, like, beyond just being good for your age, you are an innovative skater on your own. And I feel like you could make something of this and make a career out of it. And you should probably actively pursue sponsorships and maybe sort of working at that a little bit more. And he took that to heart and eventually left Birdhouse. See what I did to myself? But I'm proud of him because he's got his own sponsors. He's on Baker, he's on Quicksilver, he's on Spitfire, Indy, and he's killing it, and people really respect his talents because he did make it on his own.
Talk about Birdhouse and how it came to be formed. Like, was that something that you intended, or do you think that was just like laid out for you and you just looked around and boom, there it was?
I was riding for Powell. I was still on the Bones Brigade. Things were kind of going sour in terms of, well, the people's perception of what Powell was, and obviously the sales and us, like the Bones Brigade guys, were considered sort of the older vert guys, out of style, and I thought my career as a skater was sort of coming to an end, and I was like, I want to do something. I want to still be in skateboarding, and I would like to do something in my own direction. Base it on good skating. Yeah. That's what I want to do. And I went and picked a few guys that I thought were the best innovative skaters of the time. And we just made our own way and started doing it. It was super fun because it was like, I don't know, it was like our lemonade stand. Anything goes. We were making our own videos, selling them for $5. And just like really living it, and it was fun, but it was hard for the first 5 years, because skating was just down. Yeah. And if you're a little company, you're really hurting. Yeah. It's cyclical though. Well, that's what we believed. Yeah. And that's why I started it then. I said, if we start a company now, when skating's at its deadest point, we're gonna make a mark in skating now. Yep. And then if it starts to rise again, we're already sitting up here as a recognized brand. I'm so glad that like our audience got to hear you say that. Because now they understand like how you build a brand. You've got to be unafraid of the winter to know that you'll reach the summer. Yeah. And just now, I mean, if you want to start a brand now, it would be that much harder to rise above everything else. It's possible, but you're going to have to work that much harder at it. Boom Boom Huck Jam. Do you plan to bring it back? If we can get a good sponsor that's willing to sort of underwrite the whole tour, but that's hard these days. When we first started that, we could bring it to a company and say, look, you could be the title sponsor of this. Your name's on all the advertising. Your name's on the billboards. Your name's on the radio shows. So that just happened. Yeah. Water. Thank you. So that's cool. Sponsor. So yeah. I mean, that's cool. I mean, who wouldn't want to sponsor that? Well, we performed there. Yeah. Yeah, we performed Rockstar with Berlin, right? Yes. Yeah, that was. You know what it's like? Do you know what it's like to be on stage performing your song, with you guys just totally just like letting it rip? Like, that was crazy. For me to be able to do that kind of event and have your band play is ridiculous. Like, through the years we had some pretty insane acts. We had Devo play. Yeah. We had Offspring. We had Social Distortion. Bands that like I grew up with. I mean, when Devo played, like that was my dream come true. That was my moment, because that's the band that I listened to through and through all the years at the skate parks, and I'm skating and they're playing "Girl You Want" on the deck of the ramp. That was ridiculous. That was the first time I ever did a 900 at Huck Jam.
Wow.
Was that night.
Wow. Yeah, and that 900. That 900.
It's still a big deal to me. I mean,
Yeah,
that
it's a huge deal.
That changed my life.
Yeah, it's crazy. And how old were you when you did that?
What is that? 99, 31.
Come on, come on. That's a huge deal. That was amazing. So when you're skating now, do you still have a desire to learn new tricks?
Always, yeah. Still, I mean, I'm not trying to break any height or length or spinning records. I like still tinkering with I mean, there's so many things you can do with your skateboard and grinds and maneuvers and stuff that you don't, knock yourself out doing. So that's kind of my focus now. I mean, I literally just released a video part. Well, it came out today for Independent, and it's pretty much all new tricks.
Independent. You know how many Independent t-shirts we've worn in our lives?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And do you still enjoy competing?
No, I mean, to be honest, I competed for 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
It kind of consumed me.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal in my youth, because that's all you could do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't compete, then see you later. You're not going to make a living in doing this.
Yeah.
And now there are different ways to make a living. I mean, when I started Huck Jam, that was my exit from competition. I thought I can do an event that's big, and it doesn't have to be all about battling each other. It could be about working together and doing choreography and stuff like that. So I don't really miss it, because I got kids, and I don't want to chase that trophy the whole time.
Yeah. Well, you have 9 of them. That's 9. You gave a deck to the Smithsonian to begin their collection. What was the significance of giving them the board for you?
Oh, it was like beyond a dream come true. I can't imagine that I would be immortalized in the Smithsonian. You know what I mean? Like everything, I don't know, I just feel like the stuff that I get to do, I didn't dream of any of this stuff because it just wasn't on the radar of skateboarding being popular when I was a kid. And so if you dreamt big of being a skater when I was a kid, you dreamt of getting your picture in a magazine and maybe some free stuff. That's it, you know what I mean? And maybe you'd be invited to the Skateboarder Magazine Awards. But no one was making a killing at it. No one was on TV hardly. No one's being invited to the Smithsonian or to be on cartoons and stuff like that. So all these things that I get to do, they're like these bizarre dream come trues. It's just like, we never imagined that. So to be on The Simpsons, to be in the Smithsonian, stuff that is just like, it's just gravy. It's insane to me. And I appreciate it, I don't take any of it for granted.
20 years from now, what are you doing? Are you still skating?
I'm sure I'm still skating, maybe not in public.
Yeah. A park in your backyard is
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
I got a course in my backyard.
That was okay. So when I was talking about what's the dream when you're a kid? That was the dream come true.
Yes.
Skate park in your backyard.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Not to be on TV, not to be in movies, whatever. It would be like, dude, I have my own place, my own park.
Yeah. And then what are the businesses and endeavors?
We have a hot clothing line and shoe line, and that's going really well. Work with Quicksilver for the designs and for the distribution and stuff like that. Other than that, trying to do video games still, and I think the big push is our YouTube channel, Ride Channel. I worked really hard to get that going. And
congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. And so we're into our 2nd year of it. And I'm really proud of the content, and I feel like we finally have an avenue to reach people. I'm really proud of the work that we're doing on it.
Yeah. Good job, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I'm right here with the living guy, the spirit in this body that's done all these amazing things, and I can't thank you enough and tell you, there wouldn't be an NERD if it weren't for you. And it gave us a sounding board, which was kind of like our skateboard.
I can hear the skate influence in NERD, for sure. I mean, I picked it up right when it dropped. That vibe and that renegade and do-it-yourself attitude. I love it.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
We would not exist. Thank you.
All right.
Hi guys, Pharrell Williams here with ARTST Talk. Make sure you don't miss any of the episodes here on the Reserve channel. Sitting here with the coolest of the coolest, my new teacher, Henry Rollins.
Music is the most amazing thing humankind has ever achieved.
It's so emotionally grounded where you come from.
You have to burn so much neural tissue on stage. You are pushing so many calories. Why would I hold back?
So much of it is directed by the soul and the spirit of what you expect out of music.
When I grow up, I want to be a Pip. I want to be like, in her backing vocal group and go woo woo, but never got the chance.
Check it out. Pharrell Williams here.
Hi, I'm Joy Bryant,
I'm Eric Ripper,
I'm Tom Colicchio.
I'm Dr. Frank Lipman,
the host of On the Table.
the host of Across the Board.
Host of ARTST Talk.
Host of Hooked Up.
host of the show Be Well Week, Be Well Weekend on the Reserve channel.
It's only on Reserve.
Did you know that you can follow my show on social media sites like Facebook?
Follow us on Twitter.
If you're a fan of my show, hit the like button.
All of the above.
Share me with your friends.
Treat yourself. Check out a new episode of my show, Hooked Up.
And if you want to leave comments, feedbacks, ideas, whatever, love to hear from you. Leave a comment.
And if you don't want to miss the show, be sure to subscribe.
The one that's like down here, or is it here? Somewhere down here.
Thanks for watching the Reserve channel.
Only on YouTube. Throw caution to the wind and ask yourself what rules.